it's important that the church leadership gets involved in evangelism because we're examples to the flock. Our calling is to equip the saints for ministry. We should encourage evangelism, and whatever form that is, we should encourage our people to reach others. That's why Jesus left the church here. I'm an elder in a small Baptist church in Workington, Grace Baptist Church, and we have around 20 people attending regularly. Open air preaching in particular, I found it of great use, effective in reaching people with the gospel in an age where people understand very little of what Christians believe. Go to local towns, and in particular Carlisle, city of Carlisle, take a small stepladder and a Bible and stand on the stepladder and preach from the Bible, and that's basically all we use. I have a small amplifier to project my voice, and that's what we do. For a number of years it was usually just myself going out preaching alone and handing out tracts, and then more recently, as the church has grown, we have people interested in that kind of evangelism and have come along and joined in that. While I'm preaching, two men, one guy a deacon in our church, they hand out tracts, talk to folk. We had great encouragement recently. There's an elder in another church in Carlisle who phoned me up and said that the church had a great deal of, several, he said, people have come as a result of our evangelism in Carlisle as we direct people to his church. We meet people who object strongly, the LGBT community. They're usually the first ones to heckle, and obviously that they do understand some of what the Christian preaching means for them and their lifestyle, and they object strongly to without even mentioning any LGBT sin, but they so we meet those hecklers. People object strongly. Others are inquirers. They listen from afar often, or come and ask questions, the more bolder ones, and then others who just walk on by. So that's the typical response. Often we meet people who claim to be Christian and yet don't, for whatever reason they have, don't attend a church. And so it only happened today in Carlisle. We met again a guy who often hangs around while we're preaching. He likes the preaching, and he claims to be Christian, not going to a church. He has all kinds of reasons why he shouldn't go. And well, we were able to help him today by talking to him, directing to a church, the one that the elder there said they've had several people come as a result of that. A number of people have come as a result to our church through the evangelism. Some sadly have left. We haven't seen much of them, but others have hung around. The deacon of our church, he came as a result of the open air, and now he comes out with me regularly. If someone's thinking of evangelism, I could highly recommend, while we have the freedom to preach in the open air, to get involved in that, to talk to someone who you maybe know who does that. I mean, I quite welcome the opportunity to help someone in that area if they wanted to learn how to do it, wanted to start doing it. If God was stirring them up to proclaim the gospel in the open air, I believe it's the most effective way to reach people. And by effective, I mean that more people get to hear the gospel, that can only be based upon God's word, that says that his word never returns to him empty, never returns void. It always achieves what he sends it out to do. That's got to be a good thing. found it useful at summertime, not so much at winter, but summertime, using a table with resources on it, Bibles and Gospel of John's, other resources. We use those ultimate questions, Blanchard. They're very helpful. I found that very surprisingly, people coming up and taking stuff where previously they perhaps just had walked on by. It's been very, very helpful. The table wasn't right next to where I preached, but it wasn't that far off either, and it didn't deter people coming up and taking stuff. The fact that the preacher was nearby. There was some good conversations come from that as a result of having that table, that resource out there.